La donna mobile, qual pluma al vento, muta d'accento, e di pensiero. Guys, welcome back to the channel. No, you have not clicked on the wrong channel where people speak Italian. We speak mostly English here. But let's see. Well, how would I say that in Italian? Welcome back to the channel. Bienvenido, no, that's Spanish. Willkommen, no, that's German. Voulez-vous coucher avec, no, that's dirty French, that's naughty. All right, I don't know how to say that in Italian, so I'm just going to say welcome back to the channel, where we mostly speak, we speak many languages, but mostly broken, slightly redneck English. Guys, bear with the sounds of gunfire in the background. It is deer season and got people sighting in their rifles. Here we have a Beretta M92. This is the A1 variant, and it's got some upgrades. It's got some differences. All right, my camera operator's got some Google Translate going. Apparently it's Velveeta. Is that what it means in Italian? It's Velveeta.
It doesn't mean it.
But Velveeta means welcome. Benvunta. Benituva. Benituvo, all you Italian folks out there.
Alienating
welcome.
one nation at a time.
Yes. Benituvo, back to the channel, oh, because this is the Italian Spaghetti Gat channel now. Guys, we have a Beretta M92A1 today. It's got some upgrades and some modernizations over the classic Beretta 92. The big thing is this rail, and you can attach a flashlight or a laser or a bayonet. They actually there are people who make bayonets for these. If you want one, it's kind of silly. But there's all kinds of stuff you can put on here. I guess you could even just hang weights off of it if you wanted to. A lot of target shooters will hang weights off of a pistol. If the pistol is heavier, especially if it's muzzle heavy, little trimmers in your muscles keep the pistol from moving so much. The pistol will, once you get it on target, I mean, it's just inertia, right? An object at rest wants to stay at rest. And the heavier it is, the more it resists moving. So if you can hold it out and just get your sights on target, then the gun doesn't sway around nearly as much, as long as you have the strength to hold it out there and not start to tremble very much. So it's sort of a fine balance, but if you can build up those muscles, which target shooters do over the years, what you find is that a heavy pistol, you just sort of let it hang and it will stay naturally pointed at the target, and that really enhances accuracy. Now, of course, for most of us, for practical shooting, most of the time that's not going to work because you walk around with a really, really heavy pistol. This one has a very rounded trigger guard. Some of these you'll see have, that was a popular thing in the 80s, the idea that you would sort of hook your finger of your non-dominant hand there, and you don't really see that so much anymore. But yeah, same idea. A lot of target rifles are very heavy rifles too, or precision rifles. And that's for several reasons, but one of them is that a heavy rifle doesn't move as much.
I was going to point out that is downrange, that you're pointing the pistol. That's in case anybody thinks downrange is behind you.
That direction is downrange for the rifle range, and that direction is downrange for the pistol range. Those are both safe directions in which to shoot. I could safely shoot in that direction or that direction. Not so much other directions, but those two directions are both very safe.
It occurred to me that people couldn't see what you're pointing at.
Well, they probably would in the comments section. They probably criticize me for that. This pistol has this orange front sight, which is very high visibility, which is good for my old eyes. I don't know if it came from the factory like that. I think it did, but somebody may have filled that in. If so, he did a really good job with it. And this front sight is dovetailed in. So that could be replaced with a night sight. It could be replaced with a taller or shorter sight. If that sight were damaged, it could be replaced. That, to my mind, is a very material improvement over the original design, where the front sight was just part of the frame, an integral part of the frame. This is a made in Italy example. Again, metal trigger. I think all the parts are metal. Oh, the guide rod is plastic. The modern guide rods are mostly plastic, and this one is a plastic example. This has the more modern magazines. These are factory mags that hold 17 rounds. I think some of the factory mags now hold 18. Beretta has found it necessary to try to compete with companies like Glock. For a 9mm pistol, a service pistol, the standard now is pretty much 17 rounds. And sometimes you get more than that. In XDM, you get 19. I want to say it's 19 for a P320. I can't remember. But those round counts have been creeping upward for a while, and a lot of people just aren't satisfied with 15. I'm very satisfied with 15. I find it hard to believe that I'm going to run into a problem I can't solve with 15 rounds, but I could solve with 17. That's just unlikely. I suppose for military applications, those couple of extra rounds in, you know, in actual combat, wow, I'm surrounded by people who are trying to kill me. Those couple extra rounds could be useful, but for most of us, most of the time, I don't know that they're terribly useful. You know, if I run out of 15 rounds, well, I got another magazine, I can reload. Not that big a deal. But you be the judge on that. I'm not going to tell you how much ammo you need. If you think you need 30 rounds, go get 30 rounds. It's fine. We can still be friends. I just don't really feel the need for that much ammo most of the time. But yeah, this is a fine example. What I really wanted to do, because testing this, you know, the big difference is this thing has this rail, so I wanted to put a light on it and bring it out here, and maybe even shoot first thing in the morning at first light when we still don't have a whole lot of daylight and I can illuminate the target. And I may do that in a later video, but probably not with this pistol. I don't know if you can tell. This thing apparently has never had a light mounted on it, because there are no scratches at all to the finish there. And so I'm reluctant to put a light on this, because I don't want to scratch somebody's pistol. Because putting a light on this and subjecting it to recoil, yeah, would probably wear the finish. So while I'm allowed to, it's a used pistol and I am allowed to bring this out and shoot it, it's still a very, very clean example. I don't want to put a scratch on it anywhere. This one does have a lanyard loop, which I love. You know, lanyard loops have come and gone as fashions have changed over the years. A lot of pistols back 100 years ago had them, and then we got away from lanyard loops. A lot of guys would take a surplus 1911 and grind off the lanyard loop, which just breaks my heart. Those started to disappear from pistols, and then they never went away completely. Glocks have always had a little hole in the frame down at the bottom at the rear, so you could put a lanyard on them. Most people don't, but there are some companies that have always made the provision for a lanyard loop, and some have taken it away and brought it back. And anyway, this particular Beretta has a lanyard loop, which I love, because this is an essential piece of life-saving gear, and you should have at least the option of tying it to your body somewhere, you know, putting a cord on it so it's always attached to your belt or whatever. But yeah, we're going to shoot this one today. Italian-made example. It's very much like the last one we shot, except it has these small differences. It has a plastic guide rod that should make a difference. High-vis sight, dovetailed in. Has the accessory rail, which we're not actually going to use, I'm sorry. At least not in this video. We might be able to do another video later, maybe, where we use that. It's got a bigger magazine, but I mean, it's essentially the same pistol. Let's see if it gives us essentially the same performance. You may remember that my shooting last time with that other Beretta, not so great. We're gonna see if this is any better. Now, it's the same morning, it's the same me, it's the same ammo, so either I've improved my performance just by getting some practice in with that last pistol, or this one's gonna like the ammo better, or it's gonna be disappointing results again. We'll see. All right, let's give this a try. I've loaded up 17 rounds here, shooting at about 12 yards. Let's just see what happens. I'm gonna, I think I'll shoot all of these first single action and see what happens, and then we'll try some two-shot drills. All right, we're gonna stop shooting. That bullet is through the exactly the same hole as the first bullet from the last pistol. And obviously this pistol is capable of excellent accuracy, and so am I. So guys, we'll see you next time on the channel. We don't need to test this anymore. We're just gonna call me the best shooter in the world. And goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next time on the channel. Keep the powder dry and whatever I say. All right, my camera operator has convinced me to ruin this target by shooting some more. So I guess we're gonna continue. Smokey. The wind is kind of in my face here. Now the wind has shifted a little. It helps. Go have a look. All right, already I can clearly see, and I could tell from back there at the firing line, that I was shooting a better group than I shot with the other Beretta 92. My second shot was like touching the first one, and I've got a bunch of them that are basically touching there, made one long ragged hole. I sort of have one group going on here and then another one down here, which makes me think there were sort of two different things that I was doing. That I was, maybe when I acquired the sight picture, I was sighting one way here and then getting a slightly different sight picture here and repeating that occasionally, and sort of getting a cluster here, getting a cluster here. I mean, I've got a group I can cover with my fist very easily. I'm very happy with it. It's nicely centered. Again, maybe just slightly low, but I'm not going to complain about that at all. I was shooting marginally closer to the target. I think I moved in about 3 yards. I think it was about 15 yards before and about 12 this time, something on that order. So that certainly doesn't account for the shrinking group. Did I shoot better? Maybe. I'm going to say that high vis front sight probably helped. With my old eyes, that probably helped me get a better sight picture. And it may be that this pistol just likes that Winchester white box ammo a little bit better than the other one did. The other one was fine. I'm not going to complain about accuracy there, but this one clearly is better, at least for me. All right, I've loaded up 17 more rounds. Once again, shooting from roughly 13 yards. And we're going to do some two-shot drills and see how that goes. If you didn't tune into the last video, you're not familiar with that, and that means I'm going to fire double action, and then the next shot single action, then decock and repeat. The wind is not entirely cooperative this morning. If you've been following Jared AF or on YouTube recently, you know that inhaling all this lead vapor is not a joke. So I don't want to stand in a cloud of this smoke and inhale it while I'm shooting. Part of the point of the exercise is to get that second shot off in a timely manner, because I mean, otherwise, well, you give yourself lots of time on each shot. Of course, you're going to tend to shoot well. For those first few two-shot strings, there was this long pause in between because I was waiting for the smoke to clear. Now the wind has shifted direction. I'm able to shoot a little bit faster, but I'm not shooting nearly as well. The groove is opening up. So there is a problem with me mastering that transition, at least doing it quickly. I can do it slowly and it's fine, but quickly, not so much. See how we did. Well, I've shot out the center of the target. I have a group here still covered with my fist. I have one flyer, it's still in the A zone. When the wind shifted direction, started blowing that smoke away from me, and I didn't need to take this long pause to wait for smoke to clear or what have you, that's when I threw this one down to the edge of the A zone. And that was single action. I got my double action shot off, but very quickly I was able, because there wasn't smoke in my face, I was able to get off that second shot, and I rushed it, and I ended up pushing that one down out of the group. This is still a very good group. It's actually about as good as the group that I shot the first time in single action only, except for the one flyer. But of course I went very slowly, and I mean, that's not cheating or anything. It's fine. We're target shooting here. We're not in combat. We're not shooting against the clock. But the pistol is capable of good accuracy, and apparently I'm capable of at least decent accuracy with this pistol when I slow down and take my time. I am going to say that I shoot this one better than the other one, and I don't know if that's because of the sights. I don't know if that's because of the trigger. I don't know if that's because it likes this ammo better. I don't know. When I squeeze through on this double action trigger, that is smoother. It's not as stagey as the other one. It's more like a good double action revolver trigger. That, as far as double action triggers go, that one's good. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't call it perfect, but for a stock, you know, this hasn't had a bunch of parts replaced. It's not been spiffed up or polished up or anything. For just a stock 92, that trigger is, I'm going to say, excellent. That's about as good as they get. And then, yeah, we've got some slack, obviously, in our single action trigger, and then we squeeze through. It's a little heavy and stiff, but it is at least crisp. It's better than the other one. It's not so mushy. This one genuinely has a better trigger than the other 92 that I shot, and I think that's helping as well. I can't say what it is that gives me this smaller group. It maybe is in part me, because I had a little warm-up this morning. I'm going to say it more has to do with the pistol. Either the sights, trigger, compatibility with ammo, I don't know. But this one is absolutely a winner. Terrific group, at least for me at this range, at this time in the morning. That's pretty terrific. I'm not going to complain about that. I would be very happy with these results just about any time. Guys, I don't know if you bought one of these, if you would get the same results, but if you did, I imagine you'd be very happy. You might notice here there's a little cutout in the frame that usually wouldn't be in a 92 frame. They had to make this wider up at the dust cover to accommodate our accessory rail, and as a result, we need a little cutout for that trigger bar to move. So we end up with this little shelf or this little cutout that ordinarily wouldn't be there. Kind of an interesting feature. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I guess I didn't. But guys, we definitely have a winner here. I like this one a lot. Wouldn't mind keeping this one if I got the chance. But, you know, guys, I meant to mention a point about magazines. There are lots of Beretta mags on the market because those have been so common for so long, used by so many people, especially by militaries. And so you can obviously get original Beretta factory mags. You can get 15-round mags. There are 10-round mags. You can get mags that were made in the US, that were made in Italy. There are 17-round mags. I believe there are 18-round factory mags. There are like 20 and 30-round. They're extended factory mags that are mostly intended for carbines and like the 93R, but they'll work in a 92. There are a bunch of different mag options. But there are also mags from Metgar. There are mags from ProMag, from Ramline, Checkmate, Airtronic. Checkmate and Airtronic were U.S. contractors. They sold mags to the U.S. military, and they meet mil specs, and they're good magazines. Anyway, there are lots of mags on the market. I'm going to say when you feed your Beretta 92, feed it with either Metgar or original Beretta factory mags. Ideally, original Beretta factory, although the Metgars are so good, they're probably just as good as the Beretta factory mags, or maybe better. They're really good. Either one, depending on what your budget allows and what's available to you. Those are the mags that I would use. The Checkmate and Airtronic mags for a while were on the surplus market dirt cheap, and they're still out there, and sometimes you can still get them at a good price. Those are made in the USA, I believe, and they have like a phosphate coating that resists rust, and they're pretty good mags. The problem with the Checkmate and Airtronic is, without getting too deep into the weeds talking about why this happened, the US military bought those and insisted they were made a certain way, and it impedes functioning, and they're just not as good in my experience as the Beretta and the Metgar magazines. In adverse conditions, they just don't work as well. The springs aren't quite as reliable, and the interior is not quite as smooth, and the followers don't move as smoothly. If that's what you have, they'll probably work just fine. But my preference, my strong preference, would be for Metgar or Beretta-made magazines, Beretta factory mags. So if you have a Beretta and it's not performing well, I would look to the magazines. Get yourself a factory Beretta mag or a Metgar, or maybe a few of them that are in decent condition. And I think that'll solve all your feeding problems. If you're the Ramline, the old Ramline mags, gosh, were there Eagle mags? Was that one of the brand names? A lot of the mags that used to be on the market were not really very good. And some of them worked pretty well most of the time, but guys, save yourself a lot of headaches. Just get real Italian mags, either Beretta factory mags or Metgar mags, or I believe a lot of them were made in the US factory. The US made Beretta mags will be fine as well. Just get yourself the real thing. That would be my recommendation to you. If you want Checkmate mags or Airtronic mags as like range mags, or to take to matches and drop on the ground because you don't care about them, that's fine. But if you're shooting and the gun has to work, I would say get the real deal. That's all. The other one's fine. This one's even better. Even without the rail, even without anything attached as an accessory, I would love to carry this pistol because I'm getting very, very good results. And I can't promise you that you would get results this good, but definitely these Berettas are capable of those kind of results. Guys, until next time, keep your powder dry. La donna immobile, qual pluma al vento, muta da cento, e di... Let's do that again without the gunfire.